Joseph Smith didn't receive the gold plates in peace. He received them while being hunted, attacked, and tested, physically and spiritually. This is the story of the night everything changed, a night of secrecy, violence, and unwavering faith. It's a story that reveals the true cost of a divine calling. Let's go back to 1825. When Emma Hale first met Joseph Smith, he wasn't what you'd call impressive by society's standards. He was a young man from a poor family, unpolished, and surrounded by a whirlwind of local rumors. People whispered about him, calling him a treasure seeker, a money digger who used strange seer stones to find hidden fortunes. To many, he was a controversial figure, someone to be wary of, but Emma saw something different. Beneath the rough exterior and the swirling gossip, she recognized a profound integrity, a sharp intelligence, and a quiet, unshakable faith. She saw the man, not the reputation. As their relationship deepened, her parents grew worried. They heard the stories, the accusations, and couldn't understand why their daughter would choose a man so entangled in controversy. The situation became more serious when Joseph was formally accused of being a disorderly person and an imposter, essentially facing charges of fraud. The accusations stemmed directly from his treasure-seeking activities. Still, Emma chose him. She married Joseph Smith without her father's blessing, an act of immense courage that set the tone for the rest of her life. She was choosing faith over family approval, love over social acceptance. Their marriage wasn't just a union. It was their first major stand against a world that didn't understand. Joseph's spiritual experiences and claims made him both fascinating to some and threatening to others. The local community was deeply divided. His ability to use a seer stone, which he claimed helped him see things others couldn't, was a source of both wonder and suspicion. It wasn't long before these suspicions turned into legal action. Joseph was brought to court, facing accusations that could have ruined his reputation and his future. But something unexpected happened during the trial. The charges against him began to collapse. This wasn't because Joseph mounted an aggressive legal defense. Instead, witness after witness, even those who were initially skeptical, testified to his good character and his fundamental honesty. They couldn't prove he had ever defrauded anyone. The case fell apart. Legally, he was cleared. But in the court of public opinion, the damage was done. The trial amplified the gossip. The stories became more exaggerated. His enemies grew in number and became more determined to discredit him. They saw him not as a man of God, but as a dangerous charlatan. And through all this turmoil, a heavenly messenger, Moroni, was watching. Joseph was being tested, not just by his neighbors, but by heaven itself. He had to prove he could withstand public shame and opposition before he could be trusted with a sacred record. In September 1826, a year before he would receive the plates, Joseph returned to the Hill Cumorah, just as he had been instructed. He went with hope, believing this would be the year. But once again, he was stopped. Moroni appeared, but this time the message was a stern warning. It was direct and powerful. Moroni told Joseph he had to separate himself from the influence of treasure-seeking men, whose motives were worldly and selfish. Joseph had been spending time with individuals who were more interested in potential riches than in God's work. Moroni's instruction was clear. Align fully with God's will. Your heart and your intentions must be pure. You cannot serve both God and mammon. The messenger warned that if Joseph did not cleanse his heart and his associations, he would lose everything, the plates, his calling, all of it. The path forward required complete consecration. But Moroni also gave him a crucial piece of instruction, a detail that would change everything. He told Joseph, "Next time, you will not come alone." The angel specified that Joseph must bring one particular person with him. That person was his wife, Emma. This wasn't a casual suggestion. It was a divine command. Emma's presence would be essential for the final, successful attempt to retrieve the sacred record. Finally, the night arrived. September 22, 1827. Just after midnight, under the cover of darkness, Joseph and Emma made their way to the hill. They traveled in secret, using a horse and wagon borrowed from Joseph Knight, a trusted friend. The journey was filled with a quiet, anxious anticipation. They knew this night was different. When they reached the base of the hill, Emma waited with the wagon while Joseph ascended alone to the spot where the plates were buried. There, he once again met Moroni. This time Joseph was found worthy. As the angel delivered the gold plates into his hands, he also gave a final, solemn warning. Moroni told him plainly, "Wicked men will try to steal them from you at every opportunity. You must be watchful and faithful at all times to retain them. The test was no longer just about spiritual purity. It was now a physical reality. Joseph was entrusted with a tangible, priceless artifact, and he would have to protect it with his life. After receiving the plates, he didn't immediately take them home. Knowing he was being watched, he carefully hid them inside a hollow log not far from the hill. The most dangerous part of his journey was just beginning. The journey home was a trial by fire. On his way back through the woods, Joseph was assaulted, not once, not twice, but 3 separate times. These weren't random encounters. These were ambushes by men who had been spying on him, men who were determined to steal the plates. The first attacker jumped out from behind a tree and struck Joseph with a club. Joseph, fueled by adrenaline and a divine duty, fought back, knocking the man down and escaping into the darkness. He ran as fast as he could, clutching the heavy plates, which were wrapped in a linen frock. A short distance later, a second man ambushed him, and again, a violent struggle ensued. Joseph fought him off as well, but not without injury. Finally, as he neared his home, a third attacker confronted him. This was the most brutal assault. Exhausted and already injured, Joseph had to summon every last bit of strength. He struck the man with such force that he dislocated his own thumb. But he succeeded. He broke free and burst through the door of his family's small home, bleeding, out of breath, and utterly exhausted, but with the plates still safely in his possession. This was not a symbolic trial. It was a physical, violent, and very real fight for the future of the record. Joseph had been tested, and he had proven faithful. When Joseph finally stumbled into the house, he could barely speak. He handed the heavy cloth-wrapped object to his family and collapsed onto a chair, his body finally giving in to the exhaustion and pain. His thumb was badly injured and he had bruises all over his body, but his mission had just begun. He had secured the plates, hiding them in a locked wooden chest for safekeeping. The immediate physical danger had passed, but the opposition was far from over. This harrowing experience taught Joseph a lesson that would define the rest of his life. Sacred responsibility invites opposition. The greater the trust God places in you, the more fiercely the world will push back. His struggle to protect the plates showed that divine trust requires more than just belief. It requires discipline, courage, and action. Faith is not passive. It must be defended. Through this intense night of trial, Joseph learned that obedience wasn't just a suggestion, it was his protection. Following Moroni's instructions to the letter is what allowed him to succeed where he had previously failed. The warning Moroni gave to Joseph, "Be watchful," is not just a historical detail in a prophet's story. It's a timeless principle for every single one of us. It's a call to action for every generation. We all have sacred things entrusted to us, our faith, our families, our integrity, our personal potential. And we are all called to guard them. Joseph's story teaches us to choose integrity, especially when it costs us comfort or social standing. It teaches us to stand firm when the world tries to take away what is sacred to us. And it reminds us that the path of faith is often a struggle, requiring us to be active, vigilant, and courageous. We must be watchful, not just for dangers outside, but also for the state of our own hearts, ensuring we are always aligned with the work God has for us to do. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more content that explores the deeper stories of faith and history. See you next time.